The 201,718 holiday movie preview is a glimpse at the film's opening through mid-January. Release dates and other details are subject to change. November 10th, Amanda Jack Go Glam Pink romantic comedy about a writer and his wife trying to jumpstart their marriage in nature. With David Arquette, Amy Acker, June Squibb. Written and directed by Brendan Dickerson. Gravitas Ventures art show Bingo. A painter is tormented by his twin brother, an aggressive documentary filmmaker. With James Maslow, Lillian Solange Beaudoin, Ella Lentini. Written by Emil Husson, Matthew Fine. Directed by Fine. Indy writes bad grandmas for elderly women accidentally kill a con man and must deal with his partner. With Florence Henderson, Pam Grier, Randall Batinkoff, Judge Reinhold. Written by Srikant Chalapa, Jack Snyder. Directed by Chalapa. Parade Deck Films Bill Nye Science Guy documentary chronicles Nye's efforts to advance science through education and advocacy. Featuring Neil deGrasse Tyson, Anne Ryan, Ken Ham, Joe Bastardi. Directed by David Alvarado, Jason Sussberg. PBS Distribution. A Bride for Rip Van Winkle surreal tale of a lonely teacher meets a man online and quickly falls into a web of deception. With Haru Kuroki, Go Ayano, Coco. Written and directed by Shunji Iwai, based on his novel. 11 Art Daddy's home to see more videos. Sensitive stepdad Will Ferrell and macho dad Mark Wahlberg return in this sequel to the 2015 comedy, this time dealing with the arrival of their own fathers just in time for Christmas. With Linda Cardellini, John Cena, John Lithgow, Mel Gibson. Written by Sean Anders, John Morris, based on characters created by Brian Burns. Directed by Anders. Paramount Pictures Destination Unknown. 12 Holocaust survivors share their stories through interviews, home movies and archival footage in this documentary. Directed by Claire Ferguson. 7th Art releasing Felicite, a bar singer in the Congo, must raise money for her son's operation. With V. Acute Rot Shonda, Bea Mputu, Poppy Mpaka, Gaten Claudia. Written by Alon Gomes, in collaboration with Olivier Losau, Delphine Zing. Directed by Gomes. Strand releasing Frank Serpico documentary on the former NYPD officer who uncovered corruption in the department in the late 1960s and 70s and was played by Al Pacino in the Sidney Lumet movie based on his life. Directed by Antonio D'Ambrosio. NR. Sundance selects Gilbert documentary on the life and comedy of Gilbert Gottfried. Directed by Neil Berkeley. Gravitas Ventures intent to destroy death denial depiction. Historians, scholars and high-profile filmmakers explore the Armenian genocide in this documentary. Featuring Terry George, Paul Bogosian, Fatma Mugocek, Eric Bogosian. Written by Joe Berlinger, Cy Christensen. Directed by Berlinger. Survival pictures. It happened in LA. A married woman and her single friend find themselves dissatisfied romantically in the City of Angels. With Michelle Morgan, Jorma Taccone, Dree Hemingway, Kentucker Audley. Written and directed by Morgan. The Orchard Mayhem. A fired employee battles back when his law firm's building is quarantined after a mysterious virus unleashes wild behavior. With Stephen Yeun, Samara Weaving, Stephen Brand. Written by Matthias Caruso. Directed by Joe Lynch. RJ Lee Films Murder on the Orient Express. See more videos. Kenneth Branagh directs and stars in a mystery that plays out on a train across Europe. With Penelope Cruz, Willem Dafoe, Judi Dench, Johnny Depp, Josh Gad, Derek Jacobi, Leslie Odom Jr., Michelle Pfeiffer, Daisy Ridley. Written by Michael Green, based on the novel by Agatha Christie. 20th Century Fox spotters fillet an alleged Bigfoot sighting turns a struggling town into a tourism mecca. With Christina Hendricks, Judy Greer, Ron Perlman, Michael Shannon, Ian McShane, Thomas Lennon. Written by Daniel Meyer. Directed by Seth Henriksen. SP releasing the Price. An ambitious young Nigerian-American with a complicated life encounters temptation in his job on Wall Street. With M.L. Amin, Lucy Griffiths, Bill Sage. Written and directed by Anthony. Attorney battling in the criminal court system who gets recruited by a high-end law firm after the death of his mentor, a civil rights icon. With Colin Farrell, Carmina Yogo. Written and directed by Dan Gilroy. Columbia Pictures star a tenacious little donkey and his newfound friends follow a bright light in the sky and become part of the first Christmas in this animated fable. Voices of Stephen Yeun, Gina Rodriguez, Zachary Levi, Keegan-Michael Key, Tracy Morgan, Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey. Written by Carlos Kotkin. Story by Simon Moran Kotkin. Directed by Timothy Reckert. Sony Pictures Animation. A drifter and an ex-rodeo champ form a fraud alliance in an Alaskan town. With John Bernthal, Christopher Abbott, Imogen Poots, Rosemary DeWitt. Written by Benjamin China, Paul China. Directed by Jamie M. Dagg. IFC Films Wait for Your Laugh documentary on veteran comedic actress Rosemary Directed by Jason Wise. Vitagraph Films. Wonder see more videos. The facial differences that a fifth grader was born with present challenges during entry into a mainstream school. With Julia Roberts, Owen Wilson, Jacob Tremblay, Mandy Patinkin, Daveed Diggs. Written by Jack Thorne and Stephen Conrad and Stephen Chbosky, based on the novel by R.J. Pulacio. Directed by Chbosky. Lions Gatanov, 22. Coco, a young boy with musical aspirations, visits the land of the dead. Voices of Gael Garcia Bernal, Anthony Gonzalez, Benjamin Bratt, Renee Victor. Directed by Lee Unkrich. Co-directed by Adrian Molina. Walt Disney Pictures. Crime of Monsieur Lengue, restored 1936 French comedy drama. With Renée Lefebvre, Florel, Jules Berry. Directed by Jean Renoir. Rialto Pictures. Darkest Hour. Gary Oldman portrays British Prime Minister Winston Churchill in the early days of World War II. With Kristen Scott Thomas, Lily James, Stephen Delane, Ronald Pickup, Ben Mendelsohn. Written by Anthony McCartan. Directed by Joe Wright. Focus. Futurist man who invented Christmas in a terrible slump. Author Charles Dickens desperately sets out to write and self-publish a book that might feed his family. With Dan Stevens, Christopher Plummer, Jonathan Pryce. Written by Susan Coyne. Directed by Bharat Nalluri. Bleecker Street. Niv. 24. A suicidal housewife with a cheating husband snaps and takes on a savage, canine-like disposition. With Jason Ritter, Mariana Palka, Jamie King. Written and directed by Mariana Palka. Call Me By Your Name. A 1983 Italy, a 17-year-old Italian-American boy finds his desire awakened by a handsome visiting U.S. grad student. With Armie Hammer, Timothée Chalamet, Michael Stuhlbarg, Amira Kasser, Esther Garrel, Victoire Dubois. Written by James Ivory. Directed by Luca Guadagnino. Sony Pictures Classic. Scuba and the cameraman. Director John Alpert chronicles chapter 45 years of the island under Fidel Castro in this documentary. Netflix Eric Clapton Life in 12 Bars documentary on the iconic guitarist. Directed by Lily Finnick Zanuck. Showtime Documentary Films. Abram Rama Gray State documentary on the 2015 deaths of Iraq War veteran David Crowley and his family while he was working on a dystopian, anti-government film. Directed by Eric Nelson. First Run features A&D Films. Porto, an American and a French woman reflect on a carefree night spent together in Portugal. With Anton Yelchin, Lucy Lucas. Written by Gable Klinger, Larry Gross. Directed by Klinger. Kino Lorberebels on Point, a documentary on Les Ballets Trocadero de Monte Carlo. Directed by Bobby Johart. Icarus Films. Thelma, young Norwegian college student from a religious family, has disturbing, supernatural seizures when she experiences a fierce attraction to another girl. With Eiley Harbo, OK Kaya, Ellen Dorrit Peterson, and Henrik Raphaelsen. Written by Joachim Trier, Eskelvoet. Directed by Trier. The Orchard, November. TBDTHE Long Night of Francisco Santis. Argentine drama. Breaking Glass Pictures. Deck 1 Alien Invasion. SUM1 Sci-Fi. Directed by Christian Pasquariello. Gravitas Venture. Apache Warrior military documentary. Gravitas Venture's disaster artist James Franco directed and stars in the story of cult director and the infamous attack on rival Nancy Kerrigan. With Margot Robbie, Sebastian Stan, Allison Janney, Paul Walter Hauser, Julianne Nicholson, Bobby Cannavale, McKenna Grace. Written by Stephen Rogers. Directed by Craig Gillespie. Neon. Read the full story. Just getting started. Rivals at a Palm Springs seniors resort compete for the attention of an attractive newcomer. With Morgan Freeman, Tommy Lee Jones, Rene Russo, Jane Seymour, George Wallace, Joe Pantoliano, Glenn Headley, Cheryl Lee Ralph, Graham Beckel, Elizabeth Ashley. Written and directed by Ron Shelton. Broad Green Pictures. Naples. 44. Benedict Cumberbatch narrates this documentary on the impact of World War II on the Italian city. Directed by Francesco Paterno, based on the memoir by Norman Lewis. First Run features Thrape of Reese Taylor documentary on a young African-American woman's stand against sexual assault in the Jim Crow South. Directed by Nancy Bursky. Augusta Films. Shadowman. 1980s New York street artist Richard Hambleton is profiled in this documentary. Directed by Oren Jacoby. Film movement. The Shape of Water. See more videos. The discovery of a secret otherworldly experiment changes the life of a lonely government employee in 1962. With Sally Hawkins, Michael Shannon, Richard Jenkins, Doug Jones, Michael Stuhlbarg, Octavia Spencer. Written by Guillermo del Toro. Vanessa Taylor. Story by del Toro. Directed by del Toro. Fox Searchlight. Read the full story. Song of Granite. Near mythic rise of Irish folk singer John Heaney from the village of Carnot, a national troubadour, is chronicled in this drama. With McDara O'Fatharda, Michael Okonfa-Ola, Jaron Surf. Written by Pat Collins, Owen Mack, Joel Bride, Sharon Hooley. Directed by Collins. Oscilloscope Laboratories Deck. 15. The Ballad of Lefty Brown. A cowboy in Montana sets out to bring the killers of his friend, a U.S. Senator, to justice. With Bill Pullman, Kathy Baker, Jim Caviezel, Joe Anderson, Diego Joseph, Tommy Flanagan, Peter Fonda. Written and directed by Jared Moshe. A24 Beyond Skyline Sci-Fi Action. With Frank Rio. Sony Vertical Entertainment. Bird Boy. The Forgotten Children. Teenagers stranded on an island in a post-apocalyptic world plot their escape in this animated fantasy. Written and directed by Alberto Vasquez Pedro Rivera, based on a graphic novel by Vasquez. Kids. Ferdinand Seymour Video's animated tale about a large, gentle bull determined to return to his family after being captured. Voices of John Cena, Kate McKinnon, Gina Rodriguez, David Diggs, Gabriel Iglesias, Bobby Cannavale, David Tennant, Anthony Anderson. Inspired by a book by Monroe Leaf and Robert Lawson. Directed by Carlos Saldanha. 20th Century Fox. Read the full story. Gotti crime drama. With John Travolta, Kelly Preston, Stacy Keach. Lionsgate premiere. The leisure seeker and aging couple escape the smothering effects of doctors and children with a road trip from Boston to Key West. With Donald Sutherland, Helen Mirren, Kirstie Mitchell. Written by Stephen Amidon, Francesca Archibugi, Paolo Vierzi and Francesco Piccolo, based on the novel by Michael Zadorian. Directed by Vierzi. Qualifying run. Opens January 19th. Sony Pictures Classics. Permanent. In 1982, a couple and their preteen daughter have a particularly hairy time when they move to a town in the South. With Patricia Arquette, Rainn Wilson, Keira McLean. Written and directed by Colette Burson. Magnolia Pictures. Shakespeare Wallet. This 1965 drama about a British theatre troupe in India and a pair of star-crossed lovers was a breakthrough for the filmmaking team of Merchant Ivory and writer Ruth Prajabvala. With Shashi Kapoor, Felicity Kendall, Jeffrey Kendall. Written by Jabvala and Merchant. Directed by James Ivory. Cohen Media Group. Star Wars The Last Jedi. See more videos. Rey continues her search for the truth behind the Force in Episode 8. With Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher. Written and directed by Rian Johnson, based on characters created by George Lucas. Walt Disney Pictures. Wormwood Unmont's 6-decade search to solve the mystery of his father's death leads him into dark corners of American history. With Peter Sarsgaard, Molly Parker, Christian Camargo, Scott Shepard, Tim Blake Nelson, Bob Balaban, Jimmy Simpson, Michael Chernus. Written by Stephen Hathaway. Molly Rokos. Theatrical version of director Errol Morris' 4-hour hybrid documentary series. Netflix Deck. 20. The Greatest Showman. See more videos. Hugh Jackman stars as P.T. Barnum, the 19th century impresario who created entertainment known around the world. With Michelle Williams, Zac Efron, Rebecca Ferguson, Zendaya. With songs by La La Land's Benj Pasek and Justin Paul. Written by Jenny Bix and Bill Condon. Story by Bix. Directed by Michael Gracie. 20th Century Fox. Read the full story. Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle. See more videos. 4 teenagers find themselves inside an old video game console featuring ferocious realism and danger. With Dwayne Johnson, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillan, Nick Jonas, Bobby Cannavale. Written by Chris McKenna, Eric Summers and Jake Kasdan, Scott Rosenberg, Jeff Pinkner. Story by McKenna, based on the book by Chris Van Allsburg. Directed by Jake Kasdan. Columbia Pictures Deck. 22. All the Money in the World. The mother of kidnapped teenager John Paul Getty 3 races against time to persuade the boy's billionaire grandfather to pay the ransom. With Michelle Williams, Kevin Spacey and Mark Wahlberg, Romanda Reese, Charlie Plummer, Timothy Hutton. Written by David Scarpa, based on the book by John Pearson. Directed by Ridley Scott. TriStar Pictures. Bright. See more videos. In an alternative present where mythical creatures exist, a human cop partners with an orc to protect a powerful ancient relic. With Will Smith, Joel Edgerton, Noomi Rapace, Lucy Fry, Edgar Ramirez. Written by Max Landis. Directed by David Ayer. Netflix. Downsizing. A stressed Omaha couple choose to take part in a groundbreaking experiment where they're shrunk to 5 inches tall. With Matt Damon, Christoph Waltz, Hong Chow, Kristen Wiig. Written by Alexander Payne. Jim Taylor. Directed by Payne. Paramount Pictures. Read the full story. Father figure Stwo brothers set out to find their biological father after discovering everything their mother told them was a lie. With Owen Wilson, Ed Helms, J.K. Simmons, Glenn Close, Cat Williams, Terry Bradshaw, Bing Rames, Harry Shearer, June Squibb, Christopher Walken. Written by Justin Malin. Directed by Lawrence Sher. Warner Brothers. Hangman crime thriller with Al Pacino. Directed by Johnny Martin. Saban Films Lionsgate happy end. Writer-director Michael Haneke reunites with stars Isabelle Huppert and Jean-Louis Trintignant for this drama about a dysfunctional family in Calais. With Matthew Kassovitz, Fantine Hardouin, Franz Rogowski, Laura Verlinden, Toby Jones. Sony Pictures classic. Shasta Les, a veteran Army captain, escorts a Native American chief from the Arizona Territory to Montana in the 1890s. With Christian Bale, Rosamund Pike, Wes Studi, Ben Foster. Written and directed by Scott Cooper. Entertainment Motion Picture Studios. Pitch Perfect 3. See more videos. Graduated from college and struggling to find jobs on their own, the Bellas reunite for a USO tour. With Anna Kendrick, Rebel Wilson, Haley Steinfeld, Brittany Snow, Anna Camp, John Lithgow, John Michael Higgins, Elizabeth Banks. Written by Kay Cannon and Mike White. Story by Cannon, based on the book by Mickey Rapkin. Directed by Trish Sy. Universal Pictures. Post-publisher Katharine Graham and editor Ben Bradley guide the Washington newspaper in joining the New York Times to take a stand against the Nixon administration over the Pentagon Papers. With Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep, Alison Brie, Carrie Coon, David Cross, Bruce Greenwood, Tracy Letts, Bob Odenkirk, Sarah Paulson, Jesse Plemons, Matthew Rhys, Michael Stuhlbarg, Bradley Whitford, Zach Woods. Written by Liz Hanna, Josh Singer. Directed by Steven Spielberg. 20th Century Fox Tech. 25 Molly's Game. See more videos. Jessica Chastain stars as a world-class skier who channels her shattered Olympic dreams into running a high-stakes poker game until she's busted by the FBI. With Idris Elba, Kevin Costner, Michael Cera, Jeremy Strong, Chris O'Dowd, Bill Camp. Written and directed by Aaron Sorkin. STX Entertainment. Read the full story. Phantom Thread. In 1950s London, a famous fashion designer discovers his finely tuned lifestyle disrupted by love. With Daniel Day-Lewis, Leslie Munville, Vicky Creeps. Written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. Focus features Deck 27. In the fated German woman fights for justice after her Kurdish husband and their son are killed in a bombing. With Diane Kruger, Dennis Mosquito, Nuana Carr, Johannes Krisch. Written by Hark Bowman. Fatty Akin. Directed by Akin. Magnolia Pictures. Deck 29. Film stars Don't Die in Liverpool. Annette Bening stars as Gloria Graham in this romance about the actress' affair with a young Englishman in 1978. With Jamie Bell, Julie Walters, Kenneth Cranham, Stephen Graham, Vanessa Redgrave. Written by Matt Greenhalgh based on Peter Turner's memoir. Directed by Paul McGuigan. Sony Pictures Classics. Gen. 5 blame jealousy over the casting of the lead in a play rocks a suburban high school. With Quinn Shepard, Nadia Alexander, Chris Messina. Written and directed by Shepard. Samuel Goldwyn Films. Day of the Dead. Bloodline zombies run amok as military personnel and survivalists search for a remedy in an underground bunker. With Sophie Skelton, Jonathan Shack. Written by Mark Tonderai, Lars Jacobson, based on characters created by George A. Romero. Directed by Hector Hernandez Vikins, Puri Reginald Teo. Saban Films. Insidious. The last key, a parapsychologist discovers a horrific threat inside her own home. With Lynn Shay, Angus Sampson, Lee Wannell, Josh Stewart, Caitlin Gerard, Kirk Acevedo, Javier Bodet, Bruce Davison. Written by Wannell. Directed by Adam Robitel. Universal Pictures Stratton action thriller. Directed by Simon West. Momentum Pictures. Gen. 12. The commuter and insurance salesman stumbles upon a deadly conspiracy during his evening train ride home. With Liam Neeson, Vera Farmiga, Patrick Wilson, Jonathan Banks, Elizabeth McGovern, Sam Neill. Written by Byron Willinger, Philip Blasey and Ryan Engel. Directed by John Colette-Serra. Lionsgate humor. After his wife leaves him, a playwright moves in with his father in a retirement community. With Jermaine Clement, Elliot Gould, Ingrid Michaelson. Written and directed by Sam Hoffman. Shout Studios. In Between drama. Written and directed by Maysaloon Hamoud. Film movement. November. A peasant girl longs for a village boy whose attentions tend toward a visiting German British and Gothic 19th century Estonia. With Ray Lest, Jorgen Leek, Arvo Kokumagi. Written and directed by Rainer Sarnet based on a novel by Andres Kivarok. Oscilloscope Laboratories. Paddington 2. The Popular Bear and the Brown Family search Windsor Gardens for a book thief. With Hugh Bonneville, Sally Hawkins, Julie Walters, Jim Broadbent, Peter Capaldi, Hugh Grant, Brendan Gleeson and the voices of Ben Whishaw, Imelda Staunton. Written by Paul King, Simon Farnaby based on the series of children's stories by Michael Bond. Directed by King. A Polish immigrant pursues the American dream in Pennsylvania with comic and tragic results. With Jack Black, Jenny Slate, Jason Schwartzman, Jackie Weaver. Written and directed by Maya Forbes, Wallace Wolodarski. Netflix. Gen. 19 Den of Thieves action. with Gerard Butler. STX Entertainment. Marie and the Witch's Flower animated fantasy about an English girl who discovers a mysterious school in the sky. Written by Rika Sakaguchi based on a novel by Mary Stewart. Directed by Hiromasa Yanabayashi. Kids' mom and dad parents maniacally turn on their children while in the grip of a mysterious 24-hour frenzy. With Nicolas Cage, Selma Blair, Ann Winters, Zachary Arthur. Written and directed by Brian Taylor. Momentum Picture art drama. Written and directed by and starring Laurie Simmons. Film Movement. Showdown in Manila Action. With Alexander Nevsky. Written by Craig Hammond. Directed by Mark Dacascos. ITN Distribution. Hollywood Storm. Small town crime thriller with John Hawkes. Written and directed by Esham Nelms and Ian Nelms. Saban Films. Lionsgate. 12 Stronga U.S. Special Forces team is chosen to be the first troops sent into the mountains of Afghanistan after 9/11. With Chris Hemsworth, Michael Shannon, Michael Pena, Naveed Nigaban. Written by Ted Talley and Peter Craig based on a book by Doug Stanton. Directed by Nikolai Fugelsig. Warner Brothers. See the most read stories in entertainment this hour. Caption calendar at lawtimes.com at Lawtimes Movies.